You are listening to Bold Dreams Held Loosely Coaching Life Edition, the go-to podcast for soul-led coaches, leaders, and healers. My name is Taryn Watts, and I am a Master Certified Coach and the founder of the Mind Rebel Academy, an ICF-accredited coaching school where we train and support people to fully express their purpose through world-class coaching skills. Whether you're a seasoned coach or you are the go-to person for your people, if the heart of a coach beats within you, then these conversations are for you, my friend. We hope they serve you as you continue to create ripples of change that will be felt for generations to come. How to help someone generate their own inner wisdom and solutions rather than jumping in to give advice. This is probably one of the biggest things we see when we're training coaches, is that coaches are typically the go-to person for their people. And so they are experts in a way of giving really good, sound, solid, wise advice. And generally, that's why people go into coaching, because they're really, really good at that. They're really, really strong at seeing things from different perspectives, offering really good advice and solutioning and helping people to get to where they want to be. The interesting thing about coaching is that when we're coaching another person, we are holding them whole, capable, resourceful, and creative. And we are holding them in a light and believing that they have the solution, the wisdom, the answers inside of themselves. And our job as a coach is to artfully and powerfully draw that out of them so that the solution, the wisdom, the next best steps are birthed from them and not from us. Because there's actually a really powerful process that happens inside someone when they generate solutions and have moments of awareness, but have that for themselves, when that is actually created inside of themselves rather than advice being told to them. There's an actual chemical reaction that happens where a bunch of feel-good hormones are released in your body when you've had a moment of awareness, or you finally found the solution to a problem that you've been chewing on in your brain. When you have that moment of clarity, that aha moment, that moment of awareness, a bunch of feel-good hormones get released. You get to relish in that. You get to feel all those feel-good hormones. But when we're imparting our advice on someone, when we're giving someone the solution, giving someone next steps, giving someone the wisdom, we rob them of that beautiful internal process of them generating their own solutions. And we also know that the most powerful, meaningful, and sticky awarenesses and solutions have to come from inside of us. It might feel easier and quicker at the time to get advice from experts or people outside of us, but those might not stick. They might not be sticky enough for us actually to generate action from those solutions and from those new awarenesses. So the art of coaching is less about giving advice and more about artfully, skillfully helping another human generate the answers from within. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is by asking honest, powerful questions. So let's unpack what an honest and powerful question is.
So the best way I have ever heard how to craft honest, open, powerful questions is from Parker J. Palmer in his book, Hidden Wholeness. He describes it as, an honest question is one I can ask without possibly being able to say to myself, I know the right answer to this question, and I sure hope you give it to me. A dishonest question insults your soul, partly because of my arrogance in assuming that I know what you need, and partly because of my fraudulence in trying to disguise my counsel as a query. When I ask you an honest question, there's no way for me to imagine what the right answer might be. Your soul feels welcome to speak its truth in response to questions like these because they harbor no hidden agendas. An open question is one that expands rather than restricts your arena of exploration, one that does not push or even nudge you towards a particular way of framing a situation. How do you feel about the experience you just described is an open question? why do you seem so sad is not. But the best way to make sure that my questions will welcome the soul is to ask them with an honest, open spirit. And the best way to cultivate that spirit is to remind myself regularly that everyone has an inner teacher whose authority in his or her life far exceeds my own.
I love that description of what makes a question honest. What makes a question honest is that when I ask the question, I have done a gut check within myself and I'm asking it honestly. I don't know how you're going to answer. I don't even presume to know how you're going to answer. If I'm asking you a question and I think I know the answer to the question, or I want you to answer in a particular direction, it's dishonest. It's not a real question. And the person on the receiving end of that, either consciously or even sometimes subconsciously, can feel that. And I love the way, he talks about in this quote that that's like an insult to your soul. It's an insult to your inner wisdom. And so much of becoming a coach and learning these skills is about checking myself, checking my attachment to an answer, checking what I think I know, or checking my ego most of the time, right? The lenses that I'm looking at this situation from, or the projections that I'm putting onto a person. So what makes a question honest is that I do not know the answer to this question. It is born from a place of deep-seated curiosity. That's what makes a question honest. What makes a question powerful is that it cannot be answered with yes or no. So when questions are positioned and can be answered with yes or no, it shuts down any further exploration. So oftentimes, we tell our students when they're first learning the art of powerful questions, the question is there. It's just about repositioning the question that comes in a powerful way. So questions beginning with who, what, where, why, when, the beginning of a question, it's often positioned in a powerful, open-ended way. So for example, is there another way to look at this situation? Is a closed-ended question, because someone could say, no, there's no other way to look at this situation, versus what's another way to look at this situation? So same question, just repositioned in a powerful way. And what that encourages the listener to do is go within themselves to actually generate a response to the question. Now they have to think, what is another way? Rather than, is there another way? So that's what makes a question powerful. It opens up the doors to further exploration within. It opens up the doors for further solutioning.
When you ask a powerful question that's open-ended, it almost elicits a trust in the person in front of you. Like, I know that you know something. Instead of answering my question, yes or no, right or wrong, I know that you know something. So is there another way versus what is another way? I feel my stance is more, I know that you know something. You have some wisdom around another way.
One thing I think that can also be important in practicing, whether it's in a coaching session or you are using this with your best friend, one thing that can be helpful to actually genuinely practice asking honest, powerful questions before you're able to actually do that. First, there's something that needs to happen inside of you where you have to trust that the person in front of you really is okay, even if they don't seem okay, even if they are struggling, even if they are hurting, even if they don't think they know the answer. I think one of the first steps is trusting that they don't urgently need to be helped or fixed by you. As long as you're in the energy of trying to urgently help or fix or soothe, it's going to be really hard to access the energy and the curiosity to come up with an honest question. So taking a moment to even anchor into the right energy can be so helpful. So trusting this person in front of me is okay. There's no rush to make them feel better. It's okay to get curious and ask them some questions. Also, there is a sense of humility that I think you both touched on that is so important to also ask honest questions. I know I'm guilty so many times, both in coaching conversations that I had earlier on, but especially with my friends. There are so many times I have been so guilty of believing I see what you need to do. I know the answer and I just want you to listen to me. And it is so tempting to fall into that, especially with the people you love and you just want to help them from a really genuine place. However, in my experience, honest, powerful questions can't come out of those energies. Either the I need to save you or I just wish you would listen to me because I know what you need to do. So, the very first thing to even tap into the energy of curiosity, to ask an honest question, is first you have to get right with yourself in those realms. Okay. And even if you don't fully believe it, maybe even anchoring into, okay, what if I don't need to urgently fix them right now? And what if there's a chance I actually am not the expert of what they need to do? What if perhaps they have the wisdom inside? And then anchor into that energy and see where your curiosity actually wants to take you. Okay, what can I actually get curious about here? How can we explore their inner world together? So I think that's the first step, even before you start thinking about, okay, how am I going to frame this question?
Yeah, so important. Holding the person in front of you whole, capable, resourceful, and creative. They have the solutions within them. They have the wisdom within them. They are the experts of their own lives. That's a coaching principle that when you embody that mindset with not just clients, but with your children, your partner, your employee. So embodying that mindset is so challenging to really do. And being so aware of when you have an internal desire rise up within you to want to fix, save, heal, solution, or put back together. And that internal desire can be so strong and so powerful. And when you feel that coming up, take a breath, take a minute, and lean back into that curious coaching posture.
Yeah.
This person in front of me is whole, capable, resourceful, and creative. The best thing I can do for this human right now is to listen, is to truly hold space, ask questions, allow them to come up with their own solutions, their own wisdom, their own next steps, and watch over time, because this is a challenging thing to transition. It's a very challenging thing to transition our minds and to undo some old patterning. But watch how in your presence, when you show up for more and more minutes of your day or more and more conversations in that energy, watch how your presence now becomes this powerful force for others. You become this mirror for others. You become this force that when someone is in your presence, they have the ability to generate their solutions, generate their answers, right? They feel empowered in your presence. It might be a subtle, quiet power, It's not loud, but it's powerful.
Okay, I'm just going to make up a random scenario. Pretend I am the struggling friend. Imagine I'm going through heartbreak and betrayal. I have just been so hurt by someone I love and I'm heartbroken. And I come to you and I tell you all of the ways someone has hurt me and treated me badly. Taryn and Miranda, I'm hurting so bad. This person did all these things to me. What do you think I should do?
I'll tell you what past me would have done pre-coaching.
Yeah.
Oh, first and foremost, I would have imagined, because I used to literally imagine this with a friend in pain, I would imagine a vacuum. I wanted to put the hose of the vacuum on your energy field and all your emotional field. And I wanted to suction out all your pain and all your sorrow and all your heartbreak. And it had to go somewhere, right? So I would imagine the other hose of the vacuum going on me. I'll take it. I can handle this. You can't, is essentially what I was saying, right? And so I would jump into, in that energy, I'm going to save you. I'm going to take all your pain on my shoulders because I didn't know I was doing this, right? But what that's telling the person is, you're not strong enough to handle this, but I am. So I'll carry it for you. And that energy led to all sorts of really unhealthy codependent behavior, as you can well imagine. But the energy I would sit with someone in is, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to be your supporter. I'm going to heal your heart. I am going to also take care of that other person that hurts you. I'm going to be your person. I'm going to fix this. And that energy, that was like that love that I had for this other, it was just misguided love. It was just my love and my care didn't have like a healthy way to express. And learning coaching skills helped me take all that love inside and express it in a really healthy way that was actually healthy for the other human and beneficial and way more empowering.
Can you give me some examples right now of the things you might have wanted to say to me that at the time you thought were helpful and empowering, but
Yeah.
but really aren't? So like, what are some of the flavors of things you would say
So
to
the
me?
first thing I would have said is I would have heard your story of heartbreak, and I would have told you about my story of heartbreak. And I would have I would have told you about my story and completely projected my experience onto you, not knowing that that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I would have told you exactly what I did, and thinking that that would be helpful in your circumstance. And then together we would have, I say together, but really it would have been just me giving you lots and lots and lots of solutions and advice about this is what you need to do next. And don't worry about it, because this is going to pass, and don't worry about your hurt feelings. And he is going to feel like, he is going to regret what he did to you. Just you wait. That would have been my approach. Very strongly, very, very strongly.
And you guys would have told me how I'm so much better off. And
Way
all of
better
those
off.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, if I came to the two of you and said the same thing, and I even asked, guys, tell me what to do. I feel so lost. I need your help. What do I do? What would you do? What would you say to me?
First, I would have done that. I would have taken a big breath, because when someone in front of you is hurting, you feel that. You feel their hurt, you feel their pain. You have compassion for what they're experiencing. So, I would have noticed the emotions coming up in me in that moment of you sharing your story with me. It would be probably the first thing I would have noticed, is my emotional reaction to it. And I would know that my emotional reaction is actually not helpful to you in this situation. And as a coach, I have a responsibility to regulate myself so that I'm not projecting onto you. So I just would have taken a moment to take a big breath with you, like that. And I would not be jumping to solutions, to advice. I would not be jumping to telling you a story about someone I know or myself who's been through something similar. I would simply ask you questions like, tell me more about how you're feeling. What's coming up for you right now? I can only imagine how painful this is. How would you like me to be with you right now? How can I support you? And oftentimes it's just the person in front of us just needs to express without trying to be saved, fixed, put back together. Just given space to be a wreck, to have big emotions bubble up, to sit with someone who's not scared of those big emotions, express the ugly parts of it too, the heartbreak, the anger, the embarrassment, the betrayal, whatever the heck is coming up. And for someone to sit there and not be afraid of your big emotions, or not try to tell you, oh, it's fine, it's going to be okay. Like, not try to minimize what you're feeling. Also not try to awfulize what you're feeling, and not try to fix what you're feeling, just to be with what you're feeling. And that kind of space, asking those powerful questions, silence, being with someone in silence, in between the questions. You don't have to have a perfect question crafted the second the person is done speaking. Being able to sit in silence. And when you hear the person's inner wisdom or inner truth starting to be expressed, it might be as subtle as a big sigh, like, or maybe their sadness starts to turn into a little bit of humor. Or maybe they decide, oh, I saw this coming. I did. And their energy starts to shift a little bit. That's a sign that they're moving through their emotions. And that's a beautiful sign. Follow their lead.
Yeah.
Listen to what they're saying. Follow their lead. So if someone says to you, oh, I saw this coming. I mean, come on. I knew this was coming. Follow that. Ask a question around that. What do you know to be true? Or what was your wisdom telling you this whole time? Helping them to really anchor into that wisdom that is always there, no matter how much we suppress it.
Yeah. I can confirm, as someone who has emotionally struggled many, many times, I can confirm how good it feels to be held that way, to be listened to that way, to be asked questions in that energy, even though I've been desperate for relief, desperate for answers. It's never felt, hearing somebody else's advice. Oh, just do this. Just try XYZ. This is what I did. This is what you should do. I promise you'll get over this. None of that ever quite scratches the itch or satisfies in the way that being held in that sort of space and energy does. It feels so good to be listened to. It feels so good. It's almost like when someone holds space in that way, it's like you go from a closed up and small and you get to expand out in front of you into the space that's created for you. Oh, that feels so good and so needed sometimes. It's sometimes it feels so luxurious, and also it's so essential for us as humans, I think, to get to express and be seen for who we really are. I bet everyone can think back to moments of like when you are struggling and the feeling of someone saying, you really just have to do XYZ. I remember that in so many moments. And in those moments, my brain goes, like they're probably right. But I don't know how to, right. And the advice just flies away, versus even if it takes longer to hear a little insight, versus someone holding space, asking me questions. And the result of a question has me look inside and I generate a little aha moment. Think of what that feels like versus being given advice that like, oh, this is what I see. It's like night and day. You can't compare the value of the two. So like offering what you just demonstrated is, I think, really and truly the most valuable thing you can offer somebody who's struggling or who is just yearning for an ear or space or company. It's such a beautiful thing to offer.
My own experience being in pain and having someone show up in an energy of, I need to give you solutions, it almost shuts it all down. And what was potentially going to be an opening then shut. And also, there can be a feeling of shame, like I shouldn't feel this way. I'm not going to go to this person anymore, because it almost feels like a judgment. Like, here's what you should do. Here's what I did. Here's what they did. Just stop the hurting, make it go away. When fundamentally that's what our common humanity is the suffering. And how many people suffer in silence because it feels like there's not a lot of places and spaces or people that you can go to and just express. It can feel like, oh, I'm too much and this emotion shouldn't be here and these thoughts and nobody thinks like me or feels like me. And so to be held in a space where someone is compassionate, breathing, emotionally regulating, and curious about what do I need versus what should I do? That can be very healing. Even just someone acknowledging with me in their breath. A breath can be an acknowledgement, like, I see you. And something you can try now is to notice when someone's talking, are you thinking of the next question? Are you thinking of a solution, or are you listening? And so a step before even the practice of asking the powerful question is just notice. When you have interactions with someone, are you thinking of what you want to ask? Are you thinking about your lived experience that you can compare to? Are you thinking about a solution? And just notice without judgment, because it's such a reflex, right? In all of us, we can all relate. And even the best of us will still slip into that from time to time. But the point is to notice and come back to what, how, when, why, who, and remember, oh, this person has so much that I would love to learn about. And I love this question about, how do you want me to be with you right now? When someone is deep in their pain, I've never been asked that until I met a coach. And so, Michelle, reacting to you in your situation, I think of a friend, for example, messaged me, I didn't sleep last night. I'm so tired today. Immediately, well, this is what I did when I couldn't sleep, and this and this, and this is what helped me. And there was no response. There was no response at all. And instead of, oh, what do you need? Or how do you feel? I just had a conversation with a friend last night, and she's been struggling with a mutual friend where when she brings things to her, even if it's a celebration, this other person immediately goes into teaching mode, solution mode. And my friend was so frustrated because she said, I just wanted someone to share in my celebration, or I just wanted to name how I was feeling. And what can happen is when you're in that space and someone's offering solutions, you might feel like you really are broken. It's the opposite of wholeness, right? Yeah.
You're reminding me, Miranda, of another story Parker Palmer shared in one of his books. I think it might be Hidden Wholeness. And he was describing a time when he was deeply, deeply depressed. And he was describing the way all of his family and friends and people around him would be reacting to him or responding to him. And he found that the vast majority of people, because they loved him and had really good intentions, they were constantly trying to make him feel better, constantly trying to help him get out of his depression. And he actually found being around them intolerable because they weren't accepting of what was true for him right now. And not that I think he would have chosen to be depressed, but people trying to help him out didn't feel good. And he spoke about this one friend who would just come sit with him and be with him and talk to him. And this one friend was okay with him being depressed, was able to just be with him without trying to change him. And he talks about that being the most precious gift that he received during that depression, someone who actually could sit with him and accept him and not make him feel like, yes, he knew he was depressed, but like maybe even that was okay on a deeper level. I think the freedom to go through highs and lows of this human experience without someone making us feel worse than we already do for being where we are is so important and sometimes so needed. Yeah, I'd rather feel good than bad, but I don't want to feel bad about my human process, my lows that are natural and unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. If you are drawn to the MRA, it's more than likely that you are the go-to person for your people. You are here to deeply impact the lives of those you love and serve. And the MRA's mission is to support you in your life's work. To learn more about our suite of trainings, including our renowned flagship coach training, leadership trainings, and continuing coach education programs, please visit our website at www.themindrebel.com.